how we collected our data. Excuse me, can I collect your data for our graph?
Sure.
Okay. So 46.9 degrees. Thank you for helping out.
It's fine.
And this is how we collect our data. Hello, we're going to teach you how to draw and construct a frequency table, a cumulative frequency table, a histogram, a frequency polygon, and a cumulative frequency polygon, as well as teach you how to answer 2 questions that we've designed based on the data we've collected. So our topic is the body temperature of 30 S2 students, which we interviewed. So we're also going to give you instructions and tell you how data has been collected, and also instructions on how graphs have been drawn. As well as that, we're also going to teach you how to answer the questions using the graphs and tables that we've written and drawn, and also how the method of data collection can be improved.
Now we're going to talk about how to draw a frequency table. First, we need to draw the range of each class, and we need to write the topic, which is the body temperature, and we need to write the unit. So we start by writing the smallest class, and we need to refer to the data that we found. We need to refer to the data that we found here. So the smallest number is 36. And then we need to write each class, and each class the range should be the same. So the first class is 36 to 36.2, which is the range is 0.2, and the others should all be the same. And the next one is 36.3 to 36.5, and then the last one, and then so on and so forth, and in the end the last one would be 37.5 to 37.7. And then there is class boundary. Class boundary is the gap between each class. So, for example, we take 36.2 to 36.3. The gap, we should take the middle number of their gap, which is 36.25. And we also need to write the gap before 36, which is 35.95. And all the gaps should be the same. And in the end, you'll get 37.45 to 37.75. And then there will be class mark. Class mark is the middle number of each class. So the first class, the class mark is 36.1, and then the next one is 36.4, and so far and so forth. And if you want to know how to calculate the class mark, you need to add 36 plus 36.2, and do the same to all the other class. And you also need to divide 2, and which will equal 36.1. And then there is frequency. Frequency is the times the number between each class appears. And for the first class is 36 to 36.2, and these numbers appear in the data we collect is 4 times. And the next one is 13 times. And when you write down all the times the numbers appear in each class, it should be equal to the number that we interviewed, which is 30.
Next, we're going to introduce you about the cumulative frequency table. First, you have to write body temperature, and then the unit, and then less than, and then also the frequency. The cumulative frequency table is based on the class boundary from the frequency table. And then the first number is the first lower class boundary, and then the second number is from the upper class boundary of the first class, and then so on. We have to write all the upper class boundary to here. Then, because no data should be before 35.95, so the frequency is 0. Then the 36.25, you can see that the class boundary, and according to the class boundary, the frequency is 4. So the the second frequency number is 4. Then 36.55, it's 17 because it's the 13 from the second class boundary and plus 4 from the first class boundary. Then, so because it is body temperature less than, if it is 36.55, then it has to be less than 36.55. So there are 17 because you can see here 36.55. Below 36.55, you can see that 4 and 13. So you have to plus together, and then so on. You can 17 plus here 7. It's 24, and then 27 plus 3 plus 1 is 28, and then 28 plus 2 is 30.
So now we're going to teach you how to make a histogram. To make a histogram, you have to follow these steps. First, you have to write a title, which in this case is Body Temperature of 30 S2 students. Then you have to draw 2 arrows, one on the vertical axis and one on the horizontal axis. So for the vertical axis, label this axis frequency, and on every 5 boxes or 5 small squares, or 1 big square if you want to put it that way, you can write the number 1, and so on and so forth all the way until 13, which is the highest number, highest frequency for the body temperatures. As for the horizontal axis, label the axis body temperature bracket degrees Celsius. So place the lower value of each class boundary and label the axis, and then place the lower value of each interval. And to draw the histogram itself, draw a bar extending from the lower value of each interval to the lower value of the next interval. In short, a bar extending to the other class boundaries. And the height of each bar should be equal to the frequency of its corresponding interval. And that is how you create a histogram. So now we're going to teach you how to make a histogram. To make a histogram, you have to follow these steps. First, you have to write a title, which in this case is Body Temperature of 30 S2 students. Then you have to draw 2 arrows, one on the vertical axis and one on the horizontal axis. So for the vertical axis, label this axis frequency, and on every 5 boxes or 5 small squares, or 1 big square if you want to put it that way, you can write the number 1, and so on and so forth all the way until 13, which is the highest number, highest frequency for the body temperatures. As for the horizontal axis, label the axis body temperature bracket degrees Celsius. So place the lower value of each class boundary and label the axis, and then place the lower value of each interval. And to draw the histogram itself, draw a bar extending from the lower value of each interval to the lower value of the next interval. In short, a bar extending to the other class boundaries. And the height of each bar should be equal to the frequency of its corresponding interval. And that is how you create a histogram.
Now we're going to teach you how to draw a frequency polygon. First, we need to write the title as same as the histogram, which is body temperature per Celsius of 30 S2 students. And then we need to write the arrows and straight lines for the X and Y axis. And then we need to write the numbers beside on the y-axis, starting from 0 to 13. And beside the numbers, we need to write the word frequency. At the bottom of the line, we need to write a horizontal Z, which represents the data that we skipped. And then we need to write the class mark under each line instead of the class boundaries, which we refer from the table that we write before, starting from 35.8 up to 37.9. And at the bottom, we need to write body temperature per Celsius. we have to write one more number before the first and last class word. That's why we need to write 35.8 and 37.9. And then we write the x's regarding on the frequency from our table. After we finish writing the x's, we need to connect the dots. And then we finish the frequency polygon.
I'm here to teach you guys how to draw a cumulative frequency polygon. So first we need to write down the title, which is body temperature degrees Celsius of 30 S2 students on the top of the graph. And then we need to draw the two arrows on the vertical axis and the horizontal axis. And then we write down the 0 at the bottom as we said before. And then we check the highest frequency from the data we have collected, which is 30. So you need to divide the graph from 0 to 30 yourself. And we are making each small box equals to one unit. So one big box equals to 5 frequency. Then write down cumulative frequency on the left hand side. After that, we're going to do the horizontal axis. So we start with the Z, and then we're gonna check the lowest body temperature less than. Then we check the cumulative frequency table we made ourselves, and the lowest number is 35.95. So we start with that. Then we write down all the numbers we have from the cumulative frequency table. Then we have to write down the label, which is body temperature degrees Celsius less than. So you mark down the number for each body temperature less than. For 36.25 is 4, 36.55 is 17, and so on and so forth. After that, join all the points together. So a cumulative frequency polygon.
Hey guys, so today I'm gonna ask 2 questions about our graph. So question 1, I'm gonna ask, what if there are students whose temperature is 37 degrees Celsius or above? That means they have fever. Then, what is the percentage of the students who doesn't have fever? And question 2, I'm gonna ask, what is the percentage of the highest frequency? So the answer for this is 43.333, and that continues. Actually, you guys should use a calculator, because it's gonna be hard if you just use your brain. Or maybe some genius can just use their brain. But if you need to answer this in a fraction way, it should be 43 and 1/3%. So overall, we should say 43% is the percentage of the highest frequency. Do you guys understand now?
How can we improve the data collection method? When we collect the data, A is collecting the data by checking people's temperature, but then A collects too fast and B forgets what A said, and then A have to talk to the people again and check their temperature again because B forgot about it. If they cooperate better by having better communication and waiting for B to finish collecting the data, then they could be less inconvenience and better efficiency. And this is the end of the video.
Thank you.